Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and thank you for joining me here on America Speaks Blog Talk Radio, where America gets to speak. My name is Paula Flo, and I want to thank you for being here with us today. Right now, I'm at the University of Hawaii, and I'm in a classroom filled with students. I actually am a graduate myself. I received my master's degree in education from UH in 1989. Was anybody born yet? Please, somebody raise their hand. Okay. Well, before we get started, I'm actually going to have Dr. Deitch, Dr. Jim Deitch. He invited me to speak here today, so he is actually going to open up the show. Here you go, Dr. Jim.
Well, thank you for being here. You know, this is a class in parenting, and your being here as a child advocate is going to teach them a great deal. You've been a friend of mine for a good number of years, and you've been through the university and teaching in my classes at least once every semester. And I really want to thank you for being here. In class, we're going to have a really great time today because Paula Flo puts her body where her action is, okay? So she's one of those kind of people that goes out there and does it. Now, I'm a little bit older, and I'll stand up there and preach, but she gets out there, and she's not afraid to stand on the steps of the Supreme Court or go to jail or whatever she needs to do for the welfare of children. And maybe someday one or two or three of you might be a Paula Flo kind of person. What I hope as in the short run is that you'll be great parents. And Paul, again, thank you for being here, and thank you for being a friend of mine.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Deitch, for having me here. And before you go away, Dr. Deitch, I have a few questions for you. While the United States of America is listening to America Speaks right now, I want to hold up this wooden board. And if there's anybody out there with a camera, I hope you take this picture and put it on Facebook, because people need to know that in 19 U.S. states, teachers are allowed to take this wooden board, strike American school children on their buttocks with this wooden board for gaining their obedience. And this is primarily targeted at our school children who are poor whites, children of color, children having autism, particularly those having nonverbal autism. And for the last 7 years, since I've learned that this is going on in American schools, I've been campaigning to have this brought to an end. And Dr. Deitch supports this being over with. And now for my question for Dr. Jim Deitch. Dr. Jim, this is your child development class at the University of Hawaii. And I would like to know, does the University of Hawaii condone taking a wooden board, or yourself, you can speak for yourself, as a representative of an educator here on this campus? Is this what you are teaching in your child development class, to take this board to have children learn how to obey by striking them for pain? What would you say to that, sir?
I want to say that I do not teach my students how to hit their children with a paddle. I'm against it, very much so. The laws of the state of Hawaii prevent this kind of behavior, although sometimes people do go to extremes. But I saw you on the steps of the Supreme Court, and you had a paddle. And if I remember correctly, and I do, one of the guards wouldn't let you take that into the Supreme Court building because he said it was a weapon. But the Supreme Court says it's not a weapon. It's just a piece of wood. A teacher tool. Okay. Well, I guarantee you I will never teach any of my students how to use that. In fact, this course is against violence against children in any way, shape, or form. And what we teach here is how to sit down and have a good conversation with your child. Most children, in fact all children, really want to do positive things to please their parents. Children want to belong to the family with significance. And that is not the way we teach our children to belong. Cooperation and contribution are the way. Paddles, never. And of course I have a military background, and I'm used to violence, and I'm very much against it when it comes to children. Okay?
Oh, very good. That was a very thorough answer. And if I give you guys a quiz, how many would get a 10 out of 10? That this is to be avoided at all costs. Look at all the hands go up, America. I wish you were here. You can't see them, but every hand went up. Thank you so much. Now, I'm going to take this wooden board because I really want people to get a sense of why I began this work. But before I do that, I want to take a moment to talk to, let's see, hello? Hello?
Rebecca.
One thing I do want you to tell me is regarding CPS and regarding hitting children, would you be in agreement if I asked this class or if I presented the question that it is legal in America right now for government-funded employees to take children from their homes? Number one, is that true, Rebecca?
Yes, it's true. They steal children without parents' consent.
Okay, let me ask you this. Is it true, Rebecca, that in 19 U.S. states, teachers are allowed to take a wooden board to strike school children? Is that correct?
I am hearing they still do it in New Orleans.
That was a yes for 19 states since you've been following me. Is that true or false? Work with me here.
Yes.
No. All right. Well, listen, Rebecca, I'm going to have to switch lines, but thank you for calling in.
Sure.
This is what I would like to start out saying to students here at the University of Hawaii. First of all, on May 1st, the Hitting Stops Here, which is our organization, will be leading a campaign 24/7. I will literally be out there, probably wearing this dress the entire time because I must be seen. But I will be outside of the Royal Hawaiian Convention Center and other locations downtown Honolulu starting May 1st through May 4th, 24/7. Now, the reason I'm going to be doing that is because there is actually an event called Worldwide Masses. It's a group of people coming together to say, hey, we want our government back. We want our children back. We want the corruption to stop. And I have a dear friend, Kevin and Allen, who supports our work. Believe it or not, raise your hand if anybody in here has ever heard of Anonymous, a group or people. Thank you. 2, 3 hands went up. Anonymous is actually a group that is trying and working with us to have our U.S. government get itself back in check, okay? Because the government is supposed to be by the people, for the people, and of the people. And right now they have a hand not only on everything we do and cameras and all sorts of things, but above all of that, our children. And if they are able to oppress our children, that will be the generation that will be without the U.S. Constitution. We lose the Constitution, then our children basically will have insufferable lives ahead of themselves. So Anonymous, as a few of you, go online, type in Anonymous. They're a group saying, we will bring back our government, and without violence, and that's the way we want to teach. The Hitting Stops Here is actually a campaign for teaching kindness and respect in schools. And that will not happen if we're unable to have our children have the right to go to school without being hit. What's going on now, some of you may not know, but Child Protective Services is also allowed right now to go in your child's classroom, pull them out, talk to them, and remove them, and take them out of your lives. This is what's going on. Do you teach that that's the way to handle children in this class, Dr. Dutch?
I would hope not. I think we need to follow the Constitution of the government. And also, the state has laws, too.
Yes.
So I want my students to be law-abiding, but we have to make sure that nobody steals our rights.
Exactly. And I am very proud to say that Anonymous supports the Hitting Stops Here. In fact, if you go to our website, www.thehittingstopshere.com, in the left column, you'll see our link to Facebook. And at the very top, if you click on that, you're going to open up and you'll see in the top the description domain. And that's going to give you the calendar and everything about the campaign. Now, this is what I really want you to understand about May 1st. Anonymous, like I said, they support us. They have they're on Kevin Allen's website, who is an activist for humanity across the board. Any rights being violated of anybody in this room, his campaign is for being there for you to have a voice. That's Kevin M. Allen, and his website is Master of Many Things. This is going to be on YouTube, so anything you're missing, if you're not taking notes, you'll be able to get that and look up. So Kevin Allen, as well as Anonymous, support the Hitting Stops Here because they're for nonviolence. It's important for you to recognize that because sometimes there may be people out there saying, oh, Anonymous, they're no good. Kevin Allen, oh, he's no good. Or these, because they are against the freedoms that are being taken from us as citizens and as mothers and fathers in relation to our sons and our daughters. So May 1st through May 4th, if you get on Facebook, you will see that there is nationwide and beyond that, internationally, people for 4 days, May 1st to May 4th, will be sleeping out somewhere in their city. I'm choosing the Royal Hawaiian Center. I'll be right there from May 1st to May 4th, 24/7, with signs, with handouts, and gaining support for having people take a stand for your U.S. Constitution. If you don't use it, you lose it. And right now, most people are failing to stand up for the U.S. Constitution. And Abraham Lincoln, one of our founding fathers, said, do not let that happen. I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said that the U.S. Constitution is the only piece of paper we have to protect our God-given rights. You have a right to be a mother. You have a right to be in this class and know that you want to become a teacher. You maybe want to help children, and that nobody in this world has the right to take your child away. Everybody in here has that right, but that right now has disappeared. That's not a maybe. And as Dr. Dice said, I've already been arrested. I'm actually out on bail right now. Thank God I have 5 brothers. They bailed me out. And that was because I took action to protect a 6-year-old who was taken under these terms. And the good news is that they prefer that I say I'm guilty, because if I say I'm innocent and people support me and say she's innocent, she was protecting a child, I set a precedent in this nation. For that child was being hurt, and I did what I believe was the right thing to do. I'm a certified teacher. I'm a mandatory reporter of child abuse. We turned in more than a dozen police reports, and you did nothing until we were in jail. 4 of us took this action. I'll explain a little more. But they checked the allegations after we went to jail and found them all to be true and removed the child from that danger. And as a result, that child is now back with family. Back with family. Let's give that a hand, because that just didn't happen. That does not happen with Child Protective Services. Left on your own. But when you have somebody out there who's going to say, this is not okay. I flew from Hawaii to Arizona. I was there for 9 months. And I told my daughter, Nia, I said, Nia, this was May 4th. I said, next time you see my face, I said, Arizona CPS will be abolished. And guess what? I thought I'd be back by, July, August. I'm in jail in August. And then I'm not home till January 27th. But guess what the headline said, and you can look this up when you go home. January 13th, the headline of Arizona Republic newspaper said, Arizona CPS abolished by a government executive order. Give that a hand. Now, why did I go to Arizona? Number one, because of the mom who called me, whose son just started the beginning of an exodus of children being led out. He's the first success story out of CPS's clutches, where he was routinely raped and routinely physically assaulted and tied up and given food that had hot sauce poured all over it without being allowed to drink water. 6. He just turned 7 last month. This is a strong little boy. And we went in and we staged getting him out of what? A federal building. They don't like that, because we did it without any violence. We had it all planned out. We already told the police officer that. And I expressed myself when I was being interrogated that everything that happened in a way that, honestly, if they were to say I was guilty, it would point our U.S. government system as a system of pedophiles. As a system of pedophiles. And so I'm here because for those 4 days, I'm joining the rest of the world, and I invite each one of you to join us as well. It will be in Hawaii. I might have my little footsie pajamas on, my teddy bear, my signs saying abolish Child Protective Services, establish services protecting children. The complete opposite, something authentic for our needy children and teenagers and infants. And on the other side, it's going to perhaps say, President Obama, why won't you end USA school beatings? Primary target, black boys. Now, President Obama, he's a man of color. He's supposedly black and Indonesian and white. questionable burns on this soil. Bottom line is, he's standing in office as president. I went to his daughter's school in Washington, D.C. with this very wooden board. And I went right up to the desk there to the lady. I said, "Are you allowed to use this in the president's school?" And she went, "That's what she did." And you know who was sitting right outside the door in a big old police truck? A police officer. And I walked right in their school with a deadly weapon of the U.S. president. I walked into President's daughter's school. This is deemed a deadly weapon by the U.S. Supreme Court Justice. And I have a video that I'm going to show you that Dr. Jim was talking about of my going up to U.S. Supreme Court Justice with it. And the security, they called the highest security and said, "You cannot come in this building with that. That's a threatening weapon. That's a deadly weapon." And it says so. In the Fifth Amendment, it says that using corporal punishment with this wooden board is cruel and unusual punishment with a deadly weapon. The only thing they whited out was the word except for school children. Primary targets, children of color, children who are poor, and children having special needs. That's who's getting this, America. Raise your hand if you find that disturbing. Does anybody find that disturbing? Every single hand went up. Now I'm going to ask people who are listening at this time in this classroom, how does it make you feel to know that you live in a nation where teachers pay to teach and nurture and educate and set good examples of nonviolent problem solving? Use this on our poorest in the nation to correct behavior. How does that make you feel?
Disgusted.
How does that make you feel?
I wouldn't like it.
How does that make you feel?
Very disturbed.
How does that make you feel?
Pretty disgusted.
How do you feel?
Pretty sad.
How does that make you feel?
Awful.
How do you feel?
Sad.
How do you feel?
Horrible.
How do you feel?
Sad.
How about yourself?
Awful.
What about you?
Disappointed.
What about you?
Horrible.
How do you feel?
Disgusted.
What about you?
It's ridiculous.
How do you feel?
Outraged.
Outraged. Outraged. There's outrage in here. How does it make you feel?
Disgusted.
What about you?
Sad.
How about you?
Upset.
What about you?
Sad.
You.
Sad.
You.
Really frustrated.
You.
Terrible. Disturbed. Disgusted.
How about you?
Terrible.
How about you?
Sad.
Pissed off.
Disgusted. Sad.
Disturbed.
Outraged.
Outraged. That one resonates with me. Outraged. And to think that I was teaching in American schools from 1980. So my daughter graduated from high school in 2006. And I went down to the state of Georgia, one of the 19 U.S. states where USA American educators could take this board and strike kids. And I witnessed corporal punishment. And from that moment on, my life has been in motion for having this banned. And when I started, 21 U.S. states had this going on, and our support, along with other advocates, had the state of Ohio banned. Our efforts had the state of New Mexico banned, Ohio in 2009, New Mexico 2011, and I have successfully worked for having a federal bill placed in the hands of U.S. Education Committee Chairman John Klein, my best friend. And that bill says all 19 states shall end USA school beatings or they will not receive money from the federal government. And John Klein and Senator Tom Harkin and U.S. Education Secretary, State Secretary Arnie Duncan are all being quiet about Ending Corporal Punishment in Schools Act H.R. 3027, and that's why little Johnny and little Leroy and little Jose and Maria in these 19 U.S. states, as I'm speaking now, are being struck with this board. You want to know the rate? Every 20 seconds, an American school child is hit with one of these. Every 4 minutes to the point of needing emergency medical attention. So while we've been sitting here, count how many kids in 20 seconds. That's one. Let's count to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Just happened somewhere in America to an American child who is poor and who has possibly nonverbal autism and is unable to tell his mom. And this is throughout the U.S. and our territories. If I stand here long enough, 4 minutes from now, a child will be in need of medical attention while we're sitting here.